Welcome to the Wildly Free Podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Plord, business mentor, 3-times founder, and marketing nerd. On this podcast, you'll learn how to break free from the traditional job world and pave your own path so that you can go all in on life. Grab your favorite warm drink and pull up a chair as we talk all things marketing, growth, strategy, and the real and raw sides of entrepreneurship. Hello, happy Monday, everybody. I woke up on a whole new energy. Well, I'm going to say all of May has just been incredible. And I just wanted to share this message of you literally have the power to decide right now in this moment, hey, that you can take off at any point. Like you have that ability to decide that this is going to be the day that I take off. This is going to be the day that I show up in that go all in energy. And, you could make that decision today. You could make it tomorrow. You can make it next week. But until you decide, nothing's really going to change. And let me explain, right? So you already know what to do, essentially. If I were to ask you, sign a client by the end of the day, what would you do? It's pretty simple. Like the what is pretty simple. So I have my notes over here. If you see me looking over there. So if I were to ask you, sign a client by the end of the day, what would you do? You would probably post something. Maybe you would go live. Maybe you would send something to your email list. Perhaps you would record a podcast episode, or maybe you would send some DMs to people that have reached out to you in the past who are interested. Maybe you would do some outreach and you would look at everyone who's been on your Instagram stories, watching your stories, and you would maybe go start a conversation with them. But if I asked you, sign a client by the end of the day, you might not know if it will happen or not, right? That's out of our control. But you know what actions to take to actually sign a client. Notice I didn't say sit on the couch and meditate, sit on the couch and manifest. Perhaps that is like a strategy you're going to use to calm your nervous system before you take action. But the only thing that is going to be the determining factor of you taking off, signing a client, making money for your business is taking action. So you know what to do to sign clients. So what's stopping you? And that's usually the hardest part. That's usually the thing that I work with my clients the most on is the removing resistance, right? So, I have a client who is in a launch of her new group program and she is feeling a ton of resistance to showing up and selling on her stories. So we've been working on removing that resistance and figuring out why she feels so much resistance. It turns out, after doing some work, after going through the Why You training inside Main Character Messaging, she realized that her offer that she was going to sell wasn't fully owning her natural talents. She was teaching on something that she knew how to do. She could help people see results, but her passion, the thing that lights her up the most, wasn't really the center of this offer. Once we fixed that, once we tweaked that, she's like, okay, let's go. She would ask me every single time we'd get on a call or in the Slack channel, she'd be like, what do I need to do? How do I post on Instagram stories? I don't get it. And then once we removed this resistance, she was like, oh, it's so easy. I can just take this format and post this to my Instagram stories, right? I was like, yes, stop overthinking it. Okay. So I like to, my fiance is writing a book upstairs. He's working really hard. He's inside writing club right now. I'm so proud of him. But if you were to write a book, how would you do it? Would you think about it? You would write the entire outline in your brain? That's not going to write the book. You still have to show up and write the words. Would you sit down and write down 80,000 words in one sitting? No, of course not. That seems really unreasonable. You would write word by word, chapter by chapter, sentence by sentence until the story is complete, right? And you would notice that the more words that you write, the easier it gets. Things just kind of flow out of you. Things flow out of you. And maybe the writing you did at the beginning is not so good, but now you're in the zone, You're in the zone. I don't know what my bangs are doing right now. You're in the zone and like things are it's just flowing out, and you can go back and tweak what you wrote in the beginning. Same goes for, I'm very outdoorsy, I'm very naturey, right? If you wanted to climb Mount Everest, would you just go like right now, get all my gear, go climb Mount Everest? No, of course not. Like if you've never climbed a big mountain before, you need to train. Do you train by researching over and over again, like the technique to climb Mount Everest, the different paths you can take? That might be helpful, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to help you climb Mount Everest is by practicing, training, climbing smaller mountains, going to the gym and spending time on the Stairmaster, actually putting in the actions and focusing on, getting stronger, building that habit, being consistent, right? So same thing goes for like running a marathon. Another example here, right? Like if you wanted to run 26.2 miles, but you've never really run, you want to go from couch to the marathon, would you do it in one sitting? No. You would have this whole training plan. You'd be running every single day. Even running a mile a day would still be better training than going from nothing to 26.2. So I think you all get the point here. The same goes for your business. You cannot just wake up one day and say, well, like if you're starting from scratch, you can't just say, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make 10K today. That's unrealistic. Everyone who's claiming that they've made 10K in 6 seconds or 10K in a day is negating all the action and the practice that they did leading up to that. So if you want to sign clients, if you want to see viral videos, if you want people who are complete strangers in your DMs asking how to join your programs, you actually have to take action. And those actions compound and stack on top of each other and grow. So that post that you made a year ago, someone could land on your profile today, scroll through every single thing that you've posted and be like, holy cow, I have to work with you. Because every single one of those posts led up to it. So I want you to think about any mentor, any person that you've invested in that you found on social media. Did you see like one post and you're like, this is it, I'm in? Maybe. I'm not that type of person. When I find someone on social media, I usually follow them for a while, and I call myself a lurking Linda. I did not come up with that term, but I'm a lurking Linda. I don't like anything. I don't comment on anything. I don't even know if I follow them. Sometimes I do. I don't usually follow them. I will watch your stories, but I will not engage in anything. Like, I don't know why I'm like this, but there are other people out there as well that are like this. And that's really important to know, because your audience can be lurking Lindas. They could be watching every single thing that you do. They might be like typing into the Instagram search bar saying like, what did Hannah post today? Like, oh my God, I haven't seen it in my feed yet. Did she post? And they could go to your profile and be like, oh my God, yeah, she posted, like so excited. But never comment. So you never see them actually watching your content. So this is why taking action is so important, even though it might seem like no one's listening. I have a post on TikTok that got 300 views and I made $2,500 from that post. But if I were to live by the standard that many people live when it comes to their social media, they would see 300 views and they would think it's a failure. They would see 15 likes. I don't remember how many likes it had. I think it had more than 15 likes, but I do have videos that have 8 likes, 15 likes, 0 comments. And I'm still making money from that because all of my content stacks on top of each other. It's almost like an investment, right? If you're into investing, if you're into, investing in stocks or anything like that, when you put in, I'll say $100 to this investment and the investment grows, the interest compounds, the money that you have then makes you more money, and it grows and grows and grows and grows. That's why it's so important to invest. If you invested $100 every month, for example, you could have X amount of money, but it's thousands of dollars after a certain amount of years. It's the same for your business. Every single action that you take stacks on top of each other and helps you speed up growth. I'm sure you've heard this before, but the average, and this probably has changed, honestly, with attention spans and everything. This is like an old school marketing stat, but somebody has to see your product, your advertisements 7 times before they even think about investing in you. So when you post 1 time a week and you're beating yourself up over it because it didn't do as well as you thought it was going to do, you are prolonging that client, that potential client, from jumping into your offer. It goes from, they see 1 post a week, you post for 7 weeks straight. Okay, now they're thinking about joining your offer. But think about your launches. How long are you launching for, right? So like if we post 2 times a week, you speed up that growth. If we post 3 times a week, if we post every single day, boom, we're condensing that sales period, that conversion period. Not only, like, you know, when people say post more frequently, they say that because the more times you post, like the faster it stacks, right? That makes sense. So if I post a reel today and it gets 500 views and it gets 20 something likes, if I were to post 2 reels today, that means I would get, and they both perform the same way, that means I would get about, we're doing some math here, I would get about 600 views and 40 likes. So instead of 1 post getting 300 views and 20 likes, I'm getting 600 views and 40 likes, right? Making sense? So, but not only does that compound, but every single time you post, you get a little better if you're being smart about posting. If we're kind of just an autopilot and we're like, okay, we need to post 3 times a day, which, by the way, I'm not advocating for that. But if you're like, I gotta post 3 times a day, and I actually have a story about this. Last summer, I challenged myself to post 3 times a day on TikTok for like 90 days, for the whole summer, basically. And I did this because I saw people saying, to be successful on TikTok, you have to post 3 times a day, right? Okay. I posted 3 times a day, but I was kind of going through autopilot. I would film my videos all in one batch for the week, and then I would release it. And then I'd be like, okay, what did well last week? What didn't do well last week? And then I would kind of like go by that and post again. And I really didn't see any progress from this challenge that I set for myself on TikTok because I was basically posting the same content for 90 days. The same content is not going to make you stronger unless you tweak it, unless you learn, oh, my audience loves when I talk about numbers, for example. My audience loves when I talk about numbers. Or my audience, I notice that I get followers when I post this type of content. I notice I get this when I get this type of content, right? Like I get engagement when I post YU content. I get this. I get more sales when I post belief shifting content. These are all things that I noticed, which went into main character messaging, which went into my content strategy that I'm sharing inside the 30 days real takeover challenge. But like if you are just clocking in, posting your 3 videos, clocking out, and not actually studying what your content is doing, that's basically like going to the gym, picking up 10-pound weights, doing some bicep curls. You do your 12 reps, you leave. The next day you do 10 pounds, you do your bicep curls, and it gets easier and easier and easier. And at one point you're like, why am I even doing this? This feels so light, because you're not actually going up in weight. And the same goes for your content. If you're just showing up, posting the same things over and over and over again that are not actually getting you results, it's because we're not going back and tweaking it, right? So in main character messaging this week, where I'm actually talking about how to read your audience, how to read your analytics. A lot of people aren't teaching analytics, right? Because that's the thing that's going to unlock so much growth for you, is when you learn this really activates my audience. This really gets them in my DMs. This really gets them moving. This, when I post this type of story, they are clicking the link. You know, when you learn this, that's when you can adapt. I went way off course in my notes, but that's just how usually things go. All right, let me look what I have here. So every single day that you show up, you post, you're growing your community. When you sell your offer, it stacks on each other. They see your offer more and more and more. They start to remember it. They start seeing you talk about it more often. They're like, it's on their mind. When I was doing done for you social media management, I would teach all of my clients this. I would say, the more platforms we are taking over, the more people will see you everywhere. They open up Instagram, there's Hannah. They open up YouTube, there's Hannah. They open up TikTok, there's Hannah. They open up Facebook, there's Hannah. And they like literally can't escape you in the best way possible. So if you are on every single platform, you are constantly on their mind, right? And I'm not saying to do that, but how can we do that if you only have the capacity right now to focus on one platform? How can you go all in with that platform? How can you go all in, post as consistently as possible, and see that compound growth? I have a whole masterclass on this. It's free. If you wanted to listen to it, like send me a DM or comment on the replay of this. But everything compounds. Every action that you take compounds on each other. And at first, it might feel clumsy. At first, it might take you 3 hours to write a post. It might feel really hard. I remember when content creation, literally, I would sit outside on my deck when it was nice out, and I'd be like, today is a content creation day. I know people who are like, Mondays are content creation days, Tuesdays are CEO days, Wednesdays or whatever. That doesn't work for me. So if you've been in that place and it doesn't work for you, you're not alone. But I remember I would sit down and be like, today's a content creation day. I'd have my laptop, I'd have my phone, I have my whole setup, and I would sit there and I'd be like, what do I post? Even though I had the 5 content pillars that everyone talks about. I know sales is one day, this is another day. I had those. I still felt empty. I still had no clue. One, because I didn't really know my dream client's story, right? Like the basics that I knew was that they were in their 20s to 30s, they were entrepreneurs, they were done for you service providers. This was back when I first started my coaching business. Now I help a wide variety of service providers. But I knew that they were service providers. I knew that they wanted to be successful, but like, hello, literally everybody wants to be successful. Everyone wants to make more money. We have to go deeper than that, right? So the same thing goes if you're like, if you're a fitness blogger or you're a fitness coach. If you're saying like, if you want to lose weight and look hot, like, well, no shit, everyone wants that, right? So we have to go deeper. Like we want to go into their feelings. We want to go into their current reality. We want to go into actions that they are taking that's not necessarily helping them get there. So for example, maybe you're posting 3 times a day on TikTok, but you're not actually adapting to what your audience is giving you feedback on. And so you're just staying the same. You're just stagnating instead of growing like you want to see, right? So we take in actual things they're experiencing, and that is going to help your audience go, oh my God, it's like she's talking directly to me. And I've gotten actual comments like that. And it's really exciting. Every single time I get a comment like that, I'm like, it's working, yes. But it's easier than you think. If we get in the brain of your dream client, of what they are currently doing to get closer to their goals that's not really helping them, if they're trying strategies that they see plastered all over the internet that kind of seems like everyone's copying, pasting, and regurgitating, but that's not actually working for them, we can use that in our content, right? Like how many times have you disagreed with a way something is working? Like people say, all you need to do is post 3 times a day on TikTok, you'll be successful. False. I tried that, didn't work. Here's what I did instead. This works. You can try it. If it's not working for you, maybe you should try my way, right? Or like something that I always stand by is people say, oh, all you have to do is to, for energetics and mindset is to meditate for every single morning. And I literally, that's not how I work. I cannot sit down and meditate. Sometimes I can, but most of the time I do way better processing my limiting beliefs, my thoughts, and visualizing when I am moving. So when I go on walks, that's when I can see progress happening. Sitting on the couch, not so much. Moving my body, yes. So I know I'm not the only person out there like that. So if someone else had the same experience with me, like me, they tried meditating on the couch and it didn't work, and they're like, okay, everyone's talking about meditating and how great it is, but I cannot get it to work. I've tried for months, I've tried for years, and it doesn't work for me. The moment they see someone say, this didn't work for me, I tried this worked really well for me, they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, yes, I've had the same experience, I have to learn more. You pique their interest. So, at first, your views might be low. They have to be low before they become high. We all start at 0. We all literally start at 0 followers. We start at 0 views. We start at 0 posts. We start at, 0 clients. We all start at 0. But how you start to get more clients, how you start to see more growth is by taking action. Every single time you show up and you sign a client, you got one more client. It's like we do things one client at a time at the beginning. Sometimes then we can get like 5 clients in one day, and that's really exciting, but it's still one person at a time, and it stacks on top of each other. And then, it starts with 1 client, then 2, then 3, then 10, and then everything starts to become second nature. I've been posting consistently for almost 4 years now, and that doesn't count the years where I was doing social media, done for you social media, which was like almost 5 or 6 years ago. So I've been doing this consistently for a long time, right? And the more you do it, it starts to become easier, right? I told you that story about where I would sit down on my porch, I'd have my laptop, I'd have my phone open, I'd be like, all right, today's content creation day. And I would sit there all day long, like for 8 hours, and I would make like 3 posts. But that was a win for me. Now I can literally whip open my phone, film a TikTok in 5 minutes, edit it, post it, boom, I'm done. How did I get here? Practice. How did I get here? I took action. I posted a ton. I kept going. I kept taking action because we cannot control the views. We cannot control the likes. We can't control the followers. We can't control the algorithm, but you can control your output. We can control the actions that you take. So if bare minimum, the only thing that you do for your business is show up, post so that you expand your audience, you get more eyeballs on your content, you sell your offer, that's all you really need to do. I like to add in nurture your community, nurture your clients, like show up and talk to your clients, because oftentimes your clients are asking the questions that your audience has. So, and that's another thing we're going to talk about in main character messaging on our last call, is how to use our clients, how to use our community to create even stronger content that gets seen. But like, I love to add that aspect in, like actually being a part of your community and like being excited to talk to people and networking and stuff. And then also I like to add in the confidence aspect, tapping into what makes you special, what makes you the person people should be investing in. Why you? Literally one of the topics, one of the types of content that I teach my clients. If you take anything out of this, is instead of worrying where your next client's going to come from, that you only got 12 likes, that you only got 300 views, focus on what you can control.
Nothing can contain your unstoppable energy when you are in your element. You are a force of nature and you're ready to open the floodgates to your sales. And this is why I'm so excited to spill all the details for this new program that I am launching. It has not even reached Instagram yet. Only a few people who are in my world know about it. It is called Force of Nature, a 3-month mastermind where you'll push the limits of your business with content, offers, and confidence. Listen, right now you are creating content daily, showing up for your business, but you are ready for your content to start doing the work for you and to start seeing consistent sales. You want to sell your offer and have people commenting your trigger word and diving into your DMs asking to join. You want to feel grounded and confident as a leader throughout all seasons in your business, not just when there's proof that it's working. You want to create scroll stopping, oh my gosh, this is the best thing on the internet content that leaves people having to join your world. You are done playing small and you're ready to be a freaking force of nature that leaves people in your industry thinking, how does she show up so much and still have time to go on such cool adventures? If this is you, I am so excited to invite you into Force of Nature. This is going to be the place to be this summer. The people who are already inside are getting incredible results. What you get is a complete portal of Force of Nature trainings to help you go deep with your messaging, infuse storytelling in all of your content, create scalable offers, and get results that come in like a force of nature. There are weekly hot seat coaching calls to recalibrate to the Force of Nature energy, ask questions, get support and feedback from me and other women inside. And there will also be Tuesdays through Thursday voice and text coaching support with me and the other women inside, where you can get content audits, ask questions, and feel confident to make moves. If this is piquing your interest, if you are feeling like you are ready to go all in and actually show up like a force of nature, nothing can stop you. when storms comes, you are rooted in the ground. Your content flows like a river through the mountains. Like this is it. This is you. Then send me a DM on Instagram, or you can check out the sales page linked in the show notes below. I cannot wait to welcome you. We already have an incredible crew of women inside, and this is just going to completely unleash your business.